Hello again, welcome to another lesson. So, it's exam day. You've got your exam day routine, you're prepared as possible. Next best thing, understanding the exam questions. So understanding and answering exam questions effectively is an art that requires strategic thinking, sharp analysis and precision. For aspiring project managers working towards certifications such as PMP, CAPM or Prince2, mastering this skill can significantly boost your performance. It's not just about knowing the material, it's about interpreting the intent behind the questions, analysing keywords, navigating complex scenarios, and managing your time effectively. Many individuals fail their exams not because they lack knowledge, but because they struggle to understand what the question is truly asking. And this is something that you see quite a lot. Once you've read a question 3, 4, 5 times and really understood it, quite often you'll see there's more to it than first met the eye after your first quick scan. And time management and doing that effectively will give you the time that you need to focus on the question and work out how they want that best answered. So every question contains cues, keywords, phrases that guide you to the correct answer. These may include action words like define, compare, calculate or explain, as well as conditional phrases like all of the following except or choose the best option. Identifying these words can help you understand what's expected. For example, a question asking which of the following best represents the role of a stakeholder in Agile, underline the word best. Remind yourself that is what they're looking for. That is the appropriate answer. They're looking for the best. They don't care about anything else. They just want the best representation of a role of a stakeholder in Agile, nothing else. So exams often mix multiple choice questions, matching exercises, and drag and drop scenarios. Knowing the format helps you to align your approach. If you're aware of what could possibly come up and how they work and how they operate, there's not going to be any gotchas that come up on the day. So single response, multiple choice questions usually require analysing each option, find one correct answer. Multi-response will ask you for 2 or more answers. And drag and drop elements often test sequence or life cycle knowledge, such as the order of processes in the PMBOK. For example, a multiple response question asking select 2 processes involved in the risk analysis. It will penalise you if you only select one correct answer. So ensure that you understand, satisfy the format's requirements. If they ask for 2, make sure you select 2. So situational questions present complex scenarios designed to test your practical knowledge. These often require applying theoretical concepts, methodologies and frameworks to real-life-like situations. So the approach on this one is read the scenario once for general understanding, separate the relevant details using the context cues, note the role you're playing, project manager, agile coach, frame the problem within your approach. For example, for a situational question like you're managing a hybrid project with unexpected stakeholder resistance to agile sprints. Focus on resolving stakeholder engagement, since that aligns with the problem posed. So break things down, simplify them, try and understand exactly what's going on and what they're likely to be trying to ascertain. Now, distractors are incorrect options, deliberately included to confuse you or test your knowledge boundaries. They appear plausible, but they typically contain subtle errors. They're always there to trip you up and make sure that you are reading, you are taking that time. Just going to move slightly because I'm a little bit uncomfortable. But they're trying to trip you up. They're trying to catch you out. If you haven't managed your time effectively and you're having to rush, this is the easiest way to lose marks. So analyse each option critically, eliminating those that don't align with the scenario or PMI doctrines. For a question asking, what is the primary responsibility of a Scrum Master? Try and avoid distractors like managing the product backlog. The actual answer revolves around facilitating agile processes. So they will put these things in to try and trip you up. But if you've got your time management nailed down and you have the time to focus and really understand the question, you should be able to avoid a lot of these ones just with that. And of course, leveraging time management. So allocating time per question ensures you don't spend too much effort on complex items at the expense of the easy ones. Develop benchmarks for question categories and flag the difficult ones for review. You should have that buffer of time where you can go back afterwards. Get as many easy marks as possible. The ones that you've read and understood and are confident you know the answer, get those marks. soak up as many of those marks as possible. Leave yourself a nice big buffer to come back and work on the more complex ones and squeak out the rest of those marks. You can also break down lengthy questions into manageable parts by isolating the problem statement, solution requirements, or any background details. For example, a calculation question like, given earned value at 100k, an actual cost at 120k, determine the CPI. That can be simplified by focusing only on the EV-AC formula that you need to perform. Now, elimination techniques. When you are unsure, you can narrow down the choices through elimination to improve your accuracy. So remove the obviously incorrect answers, increase focus on the plausible options. So when a question asks about process outputs like deliverables, remove the distractors related to tools, techniques, processes, things completely unrelated to the specific deliverable context. So they are going to put things in there which can be very easily discounted and removed because they are obviously not correct. For example, with a multiple choice that's asking for a single answer and it gives you 4 possible, chances are there's going to be 2 of them which you can eliminate very quickly. You might be left with 1 right answer and then 1 plausible distractor, and it's on you to then break it down, understand it fully, and select the best one. So practice tests, of course, as diagnostic tools. We've touched on this many a time, but practice tests are supremely important, so we are going to touch on them now and again. So mock exams are instrumental in recognising patterns in how questions are framed. They also highlight areas requiring further study. So you put that time on those practice tests, you're going to see those distractors. You are going to be able to see how they are framing questions. You're going to be able to see how these things work beforehand and ahead of time, so that when it comes to the exam, you already know what to expect. That's why it's so important. When questions appear vague, focus on what is explicitly outlined in the exam syllabus or methodology. Avoid overthinking or introducing assumptions. Now, assumptions are probably one of the biggest things that trip people up, is jumping to an assumption. So strip it back. Don't overthink it. Don't assume anything. Just go back to the syllabus, go back to the methodology, and try and recall what you've learned. So for example, for Agile related exams, rely on the frameworks taught in the official Agile guides rather than external scenarios not included in the preparation materials. Stick to what you know. And then obviously post-exam review for growth. Now, reflection post-exam highlights the areas that need improvement for future attempts or certifications. Evaluate how well you interpreted questions versus how accurately you answered them. For example, conclude that time mismanagement during situational questions caused stress. Adjust pacing in mock exams accordingly before attempting another certification. It's all about lessons learned, the whole of project management, the whole project process and life cycle. You get to the end, you do lessons learned. You look at what you did poorly on, you look at what you did well. Address the things that you did poorly so that they don't happen again, and reinforce and continue building on the things that you did well. So, how do we apply this? We'll have a look at number 1, and then you are free to go and have a look, and obviously just think back to familiarization with questions and so on, and how it will drive your success. So number 1 is creating a keyword reference workbook. The purpose is to compile a list of commonly used keywords and action phrases found in exam questions to familiarize yourself with their intent. That familiarization piece is super important. So you develop a comprehensive spreadsheet that categorizes words like best, accept, calculate, alongside their definitions and application context. You'd be able to refer to the PMBOK guide, Agile Practice Guide, or CAPM preparation materials to source exam-specific keywords. So for example, you would highlight and define the word primary from questions like, what is the primary responsibility of a project manager? So learners know its signal a focus on the most significant task, and it will bring your focus in. So understanding, the keywords is huge, and having that experience from past exams and test papers that you've done and mock exams is going to allow you to remove the ambiguity from this and enable you to focus on the keyword but understand exactly what they mean, exactly what they're looking for. So apply that same logic, go through the rest of these examples. Once you've done that, go through the summary tables. Double check this top-down overview with your own understanding at this point of the types of exam questions, approach methods, how to prepare for them, keywords and such and so forth. Because once you have done that and you feel you are ready, it is then on to the practice questions. Give these a go. If you do find any areas where you need to improve, you may need to come back and watch this or reread the subject material on this one and then give it another go. If you still continue to struggle, of course, reach out to us and we will be more than happy to help. But I have been your host, Ibby Taylor, and I will see you in the next one.